The ocean was calm that morning. Lieutenant Samantha Wright stood on the deck of the research vessel and breathed in the salty air. Her team had been mapping the ocean floor off the California coast for 3 weeks. It was routine work, but Samantha loved the sea and its mysteries. "Lieutenant, you should come see this," called Officer Pete Garcia from the monitoring station. His voice held an unusual edge. Samantha made her way to the cramped room filled with screens and equipment. Pete pointed to an odd shape on the sonar display. "What am I looking at?" she asked, leaning closer. "Not sure, ma'am. We thought it was a rock formation at first, but the readings are all wrong. It's too smooth, too regular." Samantha studied the image. The object was enormous and clearly not natural. "How deep?" "About 3,000 meters. Way too deep for a normal submarine." "Could it be a shipwreck?" she asked. Pete shook his head. "No known ships that size have gone down in this area. Plus, the metal composition is weird. The sonar isn't bouncing back right." Samantha's heart beat faster. In her 12 years with the Navy, she had never encountered anything like this. "Mark the coordinates. I'm calling this in." Within hours, the Discovery moved up the chain of command. By evening, 3 more Navy vessels had arrived, including a deep-sea exploration unit with advanced submersibles. Captain Roy Nelson, a stern man with gray hair, took charge of the operation. "Right, I want you on the first dive team. You found it, you get first look." The submersible was cramped but efficient. Samantha sat beside the pilot, Ensign Carol Mason, as they descended into the darkness. 2 other crew members operated the sensors and external lights. "Approaching the anomaly," Carol announced after 30 minutes of descent. The powerful lights cut through the black water, revealing something that made everyone gasp. It wasn't a submarine. It wasn't even a ship by any normal definition. What lay half-buried in the ocean floor was a massive, sleek vessel unlike anything human hands had built. It stretched at least 400 meters in length, with a hull that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. No seams were visible, no rivets or welding marks. It appeared to be made from a single piece of material. "Are we recording this?" Samantha whispered, though there was no need to be quiet. "Every second," confirmed the sensor operator. "But our equipment is acting strange. The readings keep fluctuating." They circled the object slowly. Despite being underwater for what must have been a very long time, the vessel showed no signs of damage or decay. No growth clung to its surface. It simply existed, perfect and impossible, in the cold, deep. "Take us closer to that section there." Samantha pointed to what looked like it might be an entrance, a darker patch on the smooth hull. As they approached, the submersible's lights flickered. The control panel beeped with warnings. "Something's interfering with our systems," Carol said, her voice tight with concentration. "I'm having trouble maintaining position." Suddenly, a soft blue light glowed from the dark patch on the vessel. It pulsed once, twice, then faded. "Did everyone see that?" Samantha asked. The sensor operator nodded. "It let out a burst of energy when we got close. Not radiation, not electricity, something else." "We should back off," Carol suggested. "No," Samantha said firmly. "Not yet. Can we touch it?" Carol looked uncertain but guided the submersible closer. The mechanical arm extended slowly toward the hull. When the metal fingers made contact, the blue light returned, spreading outward from the touch point like ripples in a pond. The submersible shuddered. All systems went dark for 3 seconds before returning to normal. "We're pulling back now," Carol said, not waiting for orders this time. She eased them away from the mysterious vessel. Back on the surface, the footage caused an uproar. Within days, the site was declared a national security matter. A floating platform was constructed above the location, and a team of scientists and military personnel assembled. Dr. Alan Fisher arrived by helicopter 1 week after the discovery. He was a xenoarchaeologist, a specialist in theoretical alien artifacts, though until now his field had been purely theoretical. At 45, with thick glasses and thinning brown hair, he had spent his career being mocked by serious scientists. Now, they all wanted his opinion. "It's not one of ours," the military officials told him. as if he might have thought the Navy had secretly built a supership and forgotten about it. Obviously, Alan replied dryly. The question is, whose is it? The initial tests were revealing, and impossible at the same time. Carbon dating of tiny samples taken from the outer hull suggested the vessel had been underwater for at least 40,000 years. The material was like no alloy known to science, lightweight but stronger than diamonds. More disturbing was how the vessel reacted to human presence. It seemed to wake up slightly with each visit, more systems activating, more lights appearing along its surface. It's responding to us, Alan told Samantha during their third dive together. They had managed to find what seemed to be an entrance, though it remained sealed. Like it knows we're here? She asked. Alan nodded, his face eerie in the blue light that now constantly surrounded the ship. Or it's programmed to react to something about us, our technology, our biology, something. On their fifth dive, they brought specialized cutting tools to try opening the apparent doorway. None worked. Lasers reflected, diamond drills broke, and shaped charges didn't even scratch the surface. Then Samantha, frustrated after hours of failed attempts, placed her bare hand against the hull in a moment of curiosity. The door simply opened. Cool air, not water, rushed out. Somehow the entrance had created a perfect seal against the ocean. That's not possible, Alan whispered, but it was. And as they cautiously entered the alien vessel, lights activated along a corridor that stretched deeper than their lamps could penetrate. What they didn't know was that far above, beyond Earth's atmosphere, ancient automated systems had detected the ship's reactivation. Signals were already racing across the galaxy, carrying news that would soon bring both wonder and terror to humanity. The world breaker had been found, and nothing would ever be the same again. 3 months passed since Samantha first stepped inside the mysterious vessel. The government built a larger platform above the site. They brought in more scientists, more equipment, and more armed guards. No one outside a small group knew what lay beneath the waves. The official story mentioned only unusual geological formations. Samantha and Alan worked together daily, mapping the inside of the ship. It was vast beyond anything they had imagined. The main corridor led to huge, empty rooms with strange markings on the walls. Some rooms had seats too large for humans. Others held devices that seemed to be sleeping computers. We've explored less than 10%, Alan said one evening. They sat in the temporary office on the platform, surrounded by photos and maps. At this rate, it will take years to understand this place. Samantha nodded. She looked tired. Since that first day when she touched the door, she had strange dreams. Dreams of stars and distant planets. Dreams of flying through space in this very ship. Something else is bothering me, she said. Why did it open for me? Why does it seem to react whenever I'm near? Alan had noticed this too. The lights grew brighter when Samantha entered a room. Panels lit up when she passed. It happened with no one else. I don't know, he admitted. But I'm starting to think this ship belonged to someone connected to us, to humans somehow. Before they could discuss further, alarms blared across the platform. They rushed outside to see people pointing at the sky. There, above the clouds, strange lights moved in patterns no human aircraft could make. They watched as the lights grew larger, closer. Then every phone, radio, television, and computer on Earth received the same message. People of Earth, we come in peace to discuss the return of what is ours. The world changed in an instant. The first alien ship landed in a field near the United Nations building in New York. It was smaller than what they found underwater, but clearly of similar design. When the door opened, creatures stepped out that looked like giant birds with 4 arms. They called themselves the Archaea, representatives of the Galactic Concordat, a union of 7 different alien species. Their leader was Ambassador Krell, taller than the others with blue-black feathers. President Laura Bennett met with Krell in a hastily arranged meeting. Cameras broadcast the historic moment to the world. We have watched your planet for centuries, Krell said in perfect English, learned from Earth's broadcasts. We knew you were developing quickly, but we did not expect you to find the World Breaker." "The what?" President Bennett asked. "The vessel you discovered in your ocean." "The ship you have been studying in secret." The president looked surprised. "We only found it 3 months ago. We haven't been hiding anything." Krell's head tilted in a way that suggested disbelief. "The World Breaker disappeared 5,000 years ago during the last predecessor war. It was built by the race we call the predecessors, who are now extinct. It contains technology that could destroy entire star systems." The room fell silent. Alan and Samantha, watching on TV from the platform, looked at each other with wide eyes. "Ambassador," the president said carefully, "we don't know how to use this ship. We barely understand what it is." "Then you will not object to returning it to the Concordat," Krell said. It wasn't a question. Within days, more alien ships arrived in Earth orbit. Not just the bird-like Archaea, but others, creatures like walking crystals, beings made of what looked like flowing water, and more. They formed a growing fleet above the planet. Samantha and Alan were called to Washington. They sat in a room with military leaders, scientists, and government officials. President Bennett looked worried. "They don't believe us," she told them. "They think we've had this ship for years, maybe centuries. They think we've been using its technology to advance our own." "That's ridiculous," Alan said. "We've only just started to explore it." The president nodded. "I know, but they point to our rapid technological growth over the last century. They say it's too fast for a young species without outside help." "What do they want?" Samantha asked. "They want the ship, and they want all technology we've supposedly developed from it." The president sighed. "They've given us 30 days to comply, or they will take containment measures against Earth." That night, Samantha couldn't sleep. The dreams came stronger than ever. She saw faces, not human, but not quite like the aliens in orbit either. They were tall, with pale skin and large eyes. In her dream, they were running, afraid. They were putting something precious inside the great ship. The next morning, she told Alan about her dreams. "I think they're memories," she said. "Not mine, but somehow, in me." Alan looked thoughtful. "The ship responds to you. Maybe there's a connection we don't understand yet." They returned to the platform with a new mission: find answers before the 30 days ended. While diplomats argued with aliens above, Samantha and Alan went deeper into the ship than ever before. On the 10th day, they found a room different from the others. In the center stood a pedestal with a glowing blue crystal. Samantha felt drawn to it. Before Alan could stop her, she placed her hand on the crystal. Light flooded the room. A figure appeared in the air, a hologram of one of the beings from her dreams. "Genetic match confirmed," it said in a strange accent. "Emergency. Protocol activated." The hologram looked at Samantha. "You carry the bloodline. You have questions. I have answers." Alan stepped forward. "Who are you? What is this ship?" The hologram turned. "I am a memory, preserved to help those who might follow. This vessel is the Seed Keeper, not a weapon as the Concordat believes. It was our last hope when our enemies sought to exterminate us." "The predecessors," Samantha whispered. "Yes, that is what they call us now." The hologram seemed sad. "We were not perfect, but we did not deserve extinction. When we knew the end was near, we sent ships like this one to distant worlds, not to conquer, but to preserve." "Preserve what?" Alan asked. "Our essence, our knowledge, our genetic code." The hologram gestured and the walls lit up with images of DNA strands. "On this world we found early humans, compatible in many ways. Some of us merged our genes with theirs, hoping to live on through their descendants." Samantha felt a chill. "That's why the ship responds to me? I have predecessor DNA?" "Yes, not just you. Many humans carry small fragments, but some carry more than others." The hologram pointed to her. "You could activate the ship's systems. You could show the Concordat the truth." Outside in space, the alien fleet grew larger each day. Their patience was running thin. Earth had 20 days left to surrender a ship it barely understood, a ship that might be humanity's greatest heritage, not a stolen weapon. And Samantha Wright, who had once been just a Navy lieutenant mapping the ocean floor, now carried the key to humanity's future in her very blood. Samantha stared at the hologram, her mind racing with questions. If this ship isn't a weapon, why are they so afraid of it? The hologram flickered slightly. The Seed Keeper contains the complete knowledge of our civilization. In the wrong hands, some of that knowledge could indeed create weapons, but that was never our purpose. Alan stepped closer to the glowing figure. Can you prove this to the Concordate? I cannot leave this chamber, the hologram said. But you can show them. The truth lies in our genetic legacy and in the ship's true purpose. Before they could ask more, a loud alarm sounded through the ship. Red lights flashed along the walls. What's happening? Samantha asked. The hologram looked up. The ship detects approaching vessels. Defense systems are activating. Alan grabbed his radio. This is Dr. Fisher. What's going on up there? The reply came through with static. 3 alien ships are descending toward our location. They're demanding immediate access to the vessel. Samantha and Alan rushed back through the corridors toward the exit. The ship around them hummed with energy, systems awakening that had been dormant for thousands of years. On the platform above, chaos reigned. People ran to gather equipment while armed guards took positions. 3 small alien craft hovered nearby, each about the size of a bus. They were sleek and silver, clearly built for speed. As Samantha emerged from the water entrance, a beam of light shot down from one of the craft. In the light stood Ambassador Krell and 2 other aliens, one like a tall insect with multiple eyes, the other a short, wide creature with gray skin. We grow tired of delays, Krell announced. Our sensors detect increasing energy from the world breaker. You claim to have no control over it, yet you have activated its systems. Captain Nelson stepped forward, his hand near his weapon. We've made some discoveries, but we're still learning. We need more time. The insect-like alien clicked its mandibles. Time is what we cannot give. The predecessors nearly destroyed the galaxy once. We will not allow their weapons to be used again. Samantha moved to the front of the group. It's not a weapon, she said firmly. It's called the Seed Keeper. It was meant to preserve their civilization, not destroy others. All 3 aliens turned to look at her. Krell's feathers ruffled. And how would you know this? I can show you, she offered. Come with me into the ship. See for yourselves. The aliens conferred among themselves, speaking in fast musical tones. Finally, Krell turned back. I will come. The others will remain here. Against protests from the military personnel, Samantha led Krell and Alan back into the underwater vessel. As they walked the corridors, Krell watched how the lights brightened around Samantha. The ship responds to you, he observed. How is this possible? That's what we want to show you, Alan said. In the hologram room, the glowing figure waited. When Krell entered, it straightened as if recognizing the alien species. An Archai, the hologram said. It has been a long time since our peoples met. Krell froze, his large eyes fixed on the hologram. A predecessor. Preserved. I am but an echo, the hologram corrected. A guide for those who would find this vessel. Over the next hour, the hologram explained everything to Krell. How the predecessors, facing extinction, sent ships to compatible worlds. How they shared their DNA with early humans on Earth. How the ship contained not weapons but their science, history and genetic material, the seeds of their civilization. The human female carries our legacy, the hologram said, gesturing to Samantha. As do many others on this world, though most with far less concentration. Krell seemed troubled. If what you say is true, then the Concordate has misunderstood for centuries. But the others will need proof. When they returned to the platform, tension filled the air. More alien ships had arrived overhead. The gray-skinned alien approached Krell immediately. Well, is it the World Breaker? It is the ship from legend, Krell said carefully. But its purpose may not be what we believed. The insect alien clicked, angrily. You have been deceived. Humans are clever manipulators. Samantha stepped forward. Test my DNA. Compare it to the genetic records in your databases. You'll find predecessor markers. This caused a stir among the aliens. The gray one pulled out a small device. This will sample your genetic material without harm. Samantha held out her arm. The device hummed and glowed against her skin for a few seconds. The alien studied the readout, then showed it to the others. Their reactions, widened eyes, raised feathers, clicking mandibles, told everyone the results were significant. Impossible, whispered the insect alien. No, said Krell. It explains much about the humans, their rapid advancement, their adaptability, their stubborn nature. This last part almost sounded like a joke. Jack Martinez, a serious-faced intelligence officer who had been watching from the side, stepped forward. Does this change the Concordate's demands? The aliens conferred again, this time more intensely. Finally, Krell turned to address everyone. This matter must be discussed by the full Concordate Council. Until then, we request that no further activation of the ship's systems occurs. We will maintain our position in orbit. After the aliens departed, President Bennett called an emergency meeting. Samantha, Alan, and Jack joined military leaders and scientists on a secure video call. So the ship isn't a weapon, the president summarized. And Samantha has alien DNA. What does this mean for the ultimatum? It buys us time, Jack said. But I don't trust them. My sources indicate the Concordat is divided. Some believe our story, others think it's a clever lie. Alan spread out his notes. The hologram told us there's more to discover. Apparently, we're not the only world where the predecessors left their legacy. There could be others out there with similar DNA. Which means we might have allies we don't know about, Samantha added. The president looked thoughtful. Or the Concordate might have enemies they're not telling us about. This changes the balance of power. Ma'am, Jack said. My recommendation is that we continue exploring the ship while appearing to cooperate. The more we know, the stronger our position. President Bennett nodded. Agreed. Samantha, Alan, you have 2 weeks to learn everything. You can. Jack will work on intelligence from the alien fleet. If they're planning something beyond diplomacy, I want to know about it. That night, as Samantha tried to sleep in her small room on the platform, the dreams came again. But this time, they were clearer. She saw the predecessors fleeing across space, pursued by enemies. She saw them landing on Earth, meeting early humans who feared them at first, then came to see them as gods. And she saw other ships, like the Seed Keeper, traveling to distant stars. Somewhere out there, humanity had cousins. And the ship beneath. The waves might be their only chance to find them before the Concordate decided Earth was too dangerous to exist. The next week passed in a blur of activity. Samantha, Alan, and a small team worked around the clock inside the Seed Keeper. They discovered new rooms, new systems, and more holographic recordings from the predecessors. Each day brought fresh wonders and deeper understanding. Meanwhile, the alien fleet grew larger. Over 50 ships now orbited Earth. Some were massive vessels that dwarfed anything humans had built. Cities in every country could see them at night, bright points moving across the sky. Jack Martinez worked with intelligence agencies worldwide to monitor alien communications. He met with Samantha and Alan on the platform one evening, his face grim. They're arguing among themselves, he reported. I've identified at least 3 factions. One believes you, Samantha, and wants peaceful contact. Another thinks we're lying and wants to seize the ship by force. The third group? He paused. The third group wants to destroy the ship and possibly Earth with it. Alan dropped his coffee cup. Destroy Earth? Billions of people would die. Some of them think that's acceptable, Jack said quietly. They fear what humanity might become if we truly have predecessor DNA and access to their technology. Samantha felt cold despite the warm evening. How much time do we have? Hard to say. The Concordate operates by consensus. They're still debating, but the aggressive factions are gaining support. We need something big to change their minds. That night, Samantha couldn't sleep again. The dreams came stronger than ever. When she finally dozed off near dawn, she found herself in a vivid scene that felt more real than any dream before. She stood in a vast chamber she hadn't yet discovered in the ship. A group of predecessors worked at control panels. They looked almost human, but taller, with pale skin and large, deep-set eyes. One turned to her and spoke directly. "The key is in the stars. Find the others." Samantha woke with a gasp. Without waiting for the rest of the team, she grabbed her gear and headed into the ship alone. She moved with certainty, taking corridors they hadn't fully explored yet. The ship's lights brightened around her, guiding her way. After nearly an hour, she found it a massive circular room with a domed ceiling. As she entered, the ceiling transformed into a star map. Thousands of points of light shimmered above her. Some were connected by lines, forming a complex network. She heard footsteps behind her and turned to see Alan, out of breath from running. "What are you doing in here alone?" he demanded, then stopped as he saw the star map. "Wow. I saw this place in my dream," Samantha explained. "The predecessors were trying to tell me something about finding others." Alan walked slowly around the room, staring upward. "These must be the locations of other seed ships, other worlds where they left their DNA." Samantha pointed to a bright blue dot. "That's Earth." She traced the lines connecting to other stars. "And these must be the closest related worlds to us." They studied the map for hours. When they finally emerged from the ship, the platform was in chaos. Jack ran to meet them. "Where have you been? The Concordat is making demands again. 3 of their largest ships have moved to a lower orbit. It looks like they're preparing for something." President Bennett appeared on screens across the platform. Her face was serious. "Citizens of Earth, I must inform you of a developing situation. The alien coalition known as the Galactic Concordat has issued a final demand for the surrender of the vessel we discovered. They have given us 24 hours to comply or face what they call containment procedures." She continued, her voice steady. "We have attempted to show them that this ship is part of humanity's heritage, containing the legacy of an ancient race that contributed to our own development. Some believe us, many do not." Samantha turned to Alan. "We need to act now. The star map. It shows we're not alone." Alan nodded. "But how does that help us? We can't reach those other worlds." "No," Samantha said slowly. "But maybe we can contact them." She rushed back into the ship, heading straight for the hologram room. Alan and Jack followed. The glowing figure appeared as they entered. "We need to send a message," Samantha said urgently. "To the other worlds where the predecessors left ships like this one." The hologram tilted its head. "The communication systems have been dormant for thousands of years. Reactivating them will require significant power. Will it alert the Concordat?" Jack asked. "Yes," the hologram answered. "The signal must be strong to reach across such distances. It cannot be hidden." Samantha made a quick decision. "Do it. We need allies, and we're running out of time." The hologram nodded. "Place your hand on the crystal carrier." Samantha touched the blue crystal. Energy flowed through her, warm and tingling. The ship rumbled around them, systems powering up throughout its massive structure. On the platform above, instruments went crazy. Scientists watched in awe as readings spiked off their charts. The water around the platform began to glow with blue light. In space, the alien fleet detected the energy surge immediately. Ships moved into attack positions. Weapons powered up. Inside the control center on the platform, screens showed incoming transmissions from the Concordat. "They're demanding we shut down whatever we've activated," Captain Nelson reported. "They're giving us 1 hour before they open fire." President Bennett's face appeared on the main screen. "What's happening down there?" Alan stepped forward. "Madam, President, we're sending a message to other worlds where the predecessors left their legacy. There are others out there like us, human cousins with the same DNA markers. We're calling for help." "Will help arrive in an hour?" the president asked. "No," Alan admitted. "But we've learned something else from the star map. The Seed Keeper isn't just a repository, it's a fully functional ship. Gasps filled the room. Jack shook his head in disbelief. Are you saying we could fly this thing? Not fly exactly, said Samantha, joining them. But it has defensive capabilities. The predecessors built it to survive attacks from the same enemies the Concordat fears. Back in the hologram room, the crystal glowed brighter than ever. The entire ship hummed with power. The hologram spoke to Samantha. The message is sent. Now you must decide. Will you awaken the Seed Keeper fully? To do so will bind your life. Forced to its systems, you will be its guide, its navigator. This connection cannot be broken except by death. Samantha hesitated only briefly. If it will save Earth, yes. Place both hands on the crystal and open your mind to the ship. As Samantha did so, blue energy enveloped her completely. In her mind, she saw the ship's systems as if they were extensions of her own body. She felt its power, its age, its purpose. In orbit, the Concordat fleet prepared to fire. On Earth, people watched the sky with fear. The ultimatum would expire in minutes. And deep beneath the ocean, an ancient vessel built by a long-dead race awakened fully for the first time in 40,000 years, guided by the mind of a human woman who carried their legacy in her blood. Blue light surrounded Samantha as her mind merged with the ancient ship. Knowledge flowed into her. Star maps, navigation systems, defense protocols. For a moment, she saw through the Seed Keeper's sensors, viewing Earth from below and the alien fleet above. They're preparing to fire, she said, her voice oddly calm. Several ships are targeting major cities. Others are aiming at us. On the platform, people rushed to evacuate. Jack stayed at the communication station, keeping an open line to the White House. Alan refused to leave Samantha's side. What can we do? Alan asked, watching blue energy flow around her. Samantha didn't answer with words. Instead, the ship rumbled. The water around the platform began to churn and bubble. In orbit, Ambassador Krell argued with the Concordat War Council. We should wait. The humans may have awakened something they don't understand. That is precisely why we must act now, said the insect-like alien. Before they gain full control. On screens across Earth, the countdown to the ultimatum reached 0. The largest alien vessels opened ports in their hulls, revealing weapons that glowed with terrible energy. President Bennett addressed the world one last time. Stay calm. Take shelter if possible. We are still attempting diplomatic solutions. BQ. First alien ship fired. A beam of energy streaked toward the ocean platform. Miles above, other weapons targeted Washington, Beijing, Moscow, and London. But the attacks never reached their targets. The sea parted as the Seed Keeper rose from the depths. Water cascaded off its hull as it emerged, far larger than anyone had imagined. Nearly a mile long, it hovered above the waves, blue energy pulsing across its surface. Inside the ship, Samantha stood in the center of the command room, her eyes glowing with the same blue light. Through her connection, she activated the Seed Keeper's defensive systems. A shimmering field expanded from the ship, racing outward in all directions. It encircled the Earth in seconds, forming a transparent bubble that glowed faintly blue. Kino. Alien weapons fire struck this shield and dissipated harmlessly. What is happening? The president demanded over the communication line. Jack watched the readings on his screens in amazement. The ship is generating some kind of energy field around the entire planet. Their weapons can't get through. In orbit, the Concordat fleet fired again and again. Nothing penetrated the shield. Ambassador Krell turned to the War Council. We must cease fire immediately. This is predecessor technology at its most advanced. We cannot overcome it. Reluctantly, the fleet stopped their attack. A tense silence followed. Inside the Seed Keeper, Samantha saw everything through the ship's sensors. She spoke, and her voice was transmitted to every Concordat vessel. This ship was never a weapon of destruction. It was built to protect and preserve life. Just as it protected the predecessor's legacy, it now protects their descendants. Us. She directed the ship upward, rising slowly toward the alien fleet. The Seed Keeper dwarfed even their largest vessels. We didn't hide this ship. We didn't know it existed until recently, but now we understand what it means. The predecessors are not extinct. They live on in us, and in others across the galaxy. The star map appeared above the ship, visible to all. A holographic display of vast scale showing the network of worlds, connected by predecessor legacy. Even now our message reaches those worlds. Our cousins will soon know they are not alone. Within the Concordate fleet, confusion and debate erupted. Some ships began to pull back while others held position. A new transmission came from one of the alien vessels, the gray-skinned species. If what you say is true, human, then the galaxy is about to change forever. The predecessors were the most advanced civilization we have known. If their knowledge survives in you, what is to stop you from becoming like them? Conquerors of worlds. Samantha replied through the ship's systems. We don't seek conquest. We seek understanding. The predecessors made mistakes in their past. Through us, they hoped for redemption. She opened the ship's databases, transmitting historical records to the Concordate. See for yourselves. Learn the true history, not the legends you have feared. Hours passed as the standoff continued. Inside the White House, President Bennett met with world leaders via secure video. They watched satellite imagery of the massive ship hovering above the ocean, protecting their world. What do we do now? Asked the British Prime Minister. We negotiate from strength, President Bennett replied. For the first time, we have something they respect and fear. Back on the Seed Keeper, Alan stayed near Samantha. Her physical body remained in the command center while her mind ranged throughout the ship's systems. Samantha, he said softly. Are you still you? Her eyes focused on him, blue light dimming slightly. Yes, I'm still me, just more. Can you disconnect from the ship? She nodded. I think so, but not yet. Not until we're safe. A new transmission came from the Concordate fleet. Ambassador Krell appeared on the screens. We have reviewed your evidence. The Concordate Council is divided, but we have agreed to a temporary peace. We request formal diplomatic relations with Earth to discuss your place in the galactic community. President Bennett accepted immediately. We welcome peaceful dialogue. We have much to learn from each other. 3 days later, the first official meeting between Earth's leaders and the full Concordate delegation took place. They gathered in a large conference room in Geneva. Samantha attended, now able to separate from the ship for short periods. The Seed Keeper remains under Earth's protection, President Bennett stated firmly. It is our heritage, our birthright. After much debate, the Concordate agreed. In return, Earth would share selected predecessor knowledge, but not anything that could be used for weapons. As the meeting concluded, a technician rushed in with an urgent message. Madam President, we're receiving a response to the signal the Seed Keeper sent. Everyone fell silent as the message played through speakers. The language was unknown, but somehow Samantha understood. Greetings, kindred souls. We too carry the legacy. We too have awakened our guardian. We are coming to meet our long-lost family. Hope and tension filled the room. Ambassador Krell turned to Samantha. It appears we are entering a new age. The children of the predecessors are awakening throughout the galaxy. Samantha looked out the window at the stars beginning to appear in the evening sky. We were never alone, she said quietly. And now we never will be again. In the days that followed, more messages arrived from distant worlds. Some had discovered their ships centuries ago. Others, like Earth, had found them recently. All carried the genetic legacy of the predecessors. The Concordate fleet gradually dispersed, leaving only diplomatic vessels in orbit. The Seed Keeper remained, hovering above the ocean, a silent guardian and a beacon to the stars. Samantha split her time between the ship and Earth. Through her connection, she helped humanity begin to understand the vast knowledge contained within. Slowly, carefully, they began to prepare for their place among the stars. And deep within the ship's memory, stored for millennia, was a star map showing a path to a distant world where the last pure predecessors might still live in hiding, waiting for their children to find them. The journey was just beginning.